Good morning, students. Today we'll start chemical coordination and integration, biology part 3. So we'll start with the third part of the chemical coordination and integration. So next point is parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland is in association with the thyroid gland and which supports the function of the thyroid gland, which act as a accessory gland of the thyroid gland, so it is called as parathyroid gland. In human, four parathyroid glands are present on the backside of the thyroid gland that you can see in the image. This is the backside of the thyroid gland, and the four yellowish spot you can see is the parathyroid gland present on backside of the thyroid gland. So parathyroid gland secretes the PTH hormone that is called as parathyroid hormone. The secretion of parathyroid hormone is regulated by circulating the level of calcium ions. So here the calcium ion play important role in secretion of parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone and the secretion of the parathyroid hormone is totally depending upon the calcium ions. If required amount of calcium ions are present in the circulation, then the secretion of parathyroid hormone is facilitated. Parathyroid hormone increases the Ca2 plus levels in the blood. Okay, so the blood contains the increased Ca2 plus level. PTH also stimulates the process of bone resorption, means reabsorption of the bones where there is a need in the development and changes in the structure of the bone. So for that, resorption of the bone is done by PTH hormone. As I showed you, this is the thyroid gland in the throat portion. This is the front part of the thyroid gland. These are the left and right lobe of the thyroid gland, and this is the backside of the thyroid gland, which contains the four parathyroid gland, which are represented in yellowish spot. So that is the location of parathyroid gland. There are four parathyroid gland which is associated with the main thyroid gland. Now PTH stimulates reabsorption of the Ca2 plus by the renal tubule, which increases Ca2 plus absorption from the digested food. Yes. So what is done over here? PTH also stimulates the reabsorption of Ca2 plus by the renal tubule and increases the Ca2 plus absorption from the digested food. So from digested food, for absorption of Ca2 plus ions from digested food, so parathyroid hormone stimulates the absorption of Ca2 plus by renal tubule. So where renal tubule is present, so renal tubule is present in the kidney, and this renal tubule helps in the absorption of Ca2 plus ions. It increases the blood Ca2 plus level. So along with TCT, it plays significant role in calcium balance in the body. Yes, so PTH is hypercalcemic hormone, means it increases the Ca2 plus ions in the blood. Plays a significant role in calcium balance in the body. So whatever the balance of calcium in the blood, in the bones, is done by the parathyroid hormone. Yes, so this was all about the parathyroid hormone. Now next hormone that we are going to study is thymus. The thymus gland is a lobular structure located between lungs behind the sternum bone. Sternum bone is the middle chest bone, and just behind to that, there is a location of thymus gland. Thymus gland play a major role in development of immune system. So this gland has importance in development of immune system and production of T lymphocytes. T lymphocyte is important cell which play important role in uh, killing and catching the pathogens. So that is the role played by the thymus gland. This gland secretes the peptide hormone called thymosin. The hormone produced by the gland is called as thymosin. Major role in the differentiation of T lymphocyte provides cell mediated immunity. Yes. So when thymosin is produced by the thymus gland, what happens? It controls the production of the T lymphocytes. And the major role of T lymphocytes is provide cell mediated immunity to the human. Yeah, in picture you can see clearly that just behind of the sternum there is a location of thymus gland, and it is not much bigger gland, and it is mostly active in the childhood and in the young stage, and it starts degenerating in the old ages. So the thymosin promotes production of antibodies to provide humoral immunity. Yes. So thymocytes, thymosin produces or stimulates the division and production of T lymphocytes, and T lymphocytes help in the production of antibodies. That antibodies actually play important role in the killing of pathogens. Thymus is degenerated in old individuals, resulting in decreased production of thymosin. Yes, so if in old ages, if thymosin decreases or degenerates, then there is a decreased production of thymosin and it results in the weakening of the immunity of the old person. Yes, so as a result, the immune responses of old person become weak, and that old person becomes vulnerable to the various diseases. So this is the reason that the old person's immunity is not so strong. Yes, so this was all about the thymus gland. Next is adrenal gland. Yeah. Adrenal gland is the crown of the kidney. Means it is just situated on the top of the kidney, both the kidneys, just a little bit at the back side or slightly at the anterior portion of the kidney, and it is on the top of the kidney, so that is why we can say it is the crown of the kidney. Yellowish in color. Yes, as you can see that in the image, these are the pair of kidneys, and on the top of the kidneys you can see the adrenaline gland, and this is the actual structure of the adrenaline gland, which is situated on the kidney. Yes, so this is the image of the adrenaline gland, and there are pair of adrenaline gland present on pair of kidney. one pair of adrenal gland is present. So anterior part of each kidney, there is a presence of adrenal gland. Two type of tissues. Centrally located tissue is called adrenal medulla. Adrenal gland is composed of two type of tissues. Yes, so the first one is centrally located tissue in the adrenal gland is adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla is a middle portion of the adrenal gland. So that is one kind of a tissue. And the outside, the cells that lies outside its adrenal cortex. It is adrenal cortex. So underproduction of hormones by adrenal cortex alters carbohydrate metabolism, causing acute weakness, fatigue, leading to disease called Addison's disease. Yes, so when there is an underproduction of hormones by adrenal cortex, means the outer portion of the adrenal gland, it alters the carbohydrate metabolism, means carbohydrates are not properly metabolized, not properly digested, and if carbohydrates are not properly digested and broken down, then the person will not get sufficient amount of energy because glucose is not produced, and that causes the acute weakness, fatigue, leading to the disease called Addison's disease. So this is the problem associated with the underproduction of hormone produced by adrenal cortex. Yes, now we'll study that adrenal medulla secretes two hormones. Adrenal medulla secretes two hormones, adrenaline or epinephrine. It is called as adrenaline or epinephrine, and the another hormone called as noradrenaline or norepinephrine. These two hormones are produced by medulla of adrenal gland, means the middle tissue of the adrenal gland produces two hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline, and this both hormones commonly called as catecholamines. They are called as catecholamines. It's the common name for adrenaline and noradrenaline. The alternating name of adrenaline is epinephrine, and noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Yes, so commonly both are called as catecholamines. Now one by one we'll talk about the adrenaline, first hormone, and second noradrenaline. Adrenaline, it is a stress hormone leading to increase in systolic blood pressure, means contraction of the heart is increased by the adrenaline hormone. So it increases the blood circulation in the body, dilation of the coronary blood vessels. So coronary blood vessels become dilated in the sense the diameter of the coronary blood vessels increases. Increased sweating and increase in metabolic rate can be seen. So if blood pressure increases, so sweating also occurs, and this all occurs because of there is a increased metabolic rate. So metabolism is increased after the secretion of adrenaline, and as metabolism increases, there is a fast breakdown of carbohydrate, and if carbohydrate is broken down, then glucose is produced, which provides lot of energy to the individual, and then person can handle the stressed situation. So that is why the adrenaline is produced by the adrenal gland and released in the stress condition. So it is called as stress hormone. Another hormone produced by the medulla of adrenal gland is noradrenaline. Noradrenaline, it is a vasoconstrictor. Both systolic and diastolic pressure are increased. So in adrenaline we have seen that the systolic blood pressure is increased, but in case of noradrenaline both systolic and diastolic pressure is increased. Both responses to stress of any kind and during emergency situations and are called emergency hormones or hormones of flight or fight. Yes, so noradrenaline also act as a vasoconstrictor and it brings the constriction of the blood vessels, so it is called as vasoconstrictor. It is vasoconstrictor because it bring about the contraction of the blood vessels. Both response to stress, both means adrenaline as well as noradrenaline response to stress of any kind and during the emergency situation both the hormones act upon and help to handle the situation. Emergency hormones are hormones of flight or fight. Yes, adrenaline and noradrenaline, both hormones are called as fight or flight hormones. Both hormones can stimulate the breakdown of glycogen. Glycogen is present in the liver as stored food material and increases the glucose concentration in blood. So can stimulate the breakdown of glycogen and increase the glucose concentration in blood. Next point. Now we have seen that the adrenal medulla produces two kind of hormone, that is adrenaline, noradrenaline. Now we'll study the adrenal cortex also produces kind of hormones, and that hormones are called as corticoids. Yes. So adrenal cortex is divided into three parts: zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, zona glomerulosa. Yes, third is a glomerulosa. Zona reticularis is inner layer, zona fasciculata is a middle layer, zona glomerulosa is the outer layer. Yes, these are the three important zones or the three layers of the adrenal cortex: zona reticularis, inner layer, zona fasciculata, middle, and the outermost is zona glomerulosa. Yes, adrenal cortex secretes many hormones, and that many hormones are commonly called as corticoids. They are nothing but the corticoids. Corticoids are involved in carbohydrate metabolism. So the hormone, the type of corticoid hormone involved in carbohydrate metabolism is called as glucocorticoids. Now we'll study type of corticoids. So first is cortisol is the main glucocorticoid hormone, stimulate gluconeogenesis, lipolysis and proteolysis. So cortisol type of corticoid is the main glucocorticoid, means which act upon the carbohydrates, which stimulates the gluconeogenesis, lipolysis and proteolysis also. means which can act upon carbohydrate also, fats also, and proteins also. So the breaking of the lipids and protein can be done by the glucocorticoids and inhibit cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. So it controls the uptake of amino acids also. Then corticoids, which control balance of water and electrolyte in our body, are called mineral corticoids. Are called as mineral corticoids. So this corticoid hormone, mineral corticoid, which maintain the balance of minerals, electrolytes, and as well as the balance of water in the body. Aldosterone is the main mineralocorticoid in our body. So aldosterone is the main hormone and it comes in the category of mineralocorticoid. So as type of corticoid hormone have cortisol hormone and the glucocorticoid comes in the category of cortisol. So likewise aldosterone is also a kind of hormone. Which kind? Mineralocorticoid, and mineralocorticoid is actually nothing but corticoid. So aldosterone maintains the mineral and electrolyte level in the body. Yes. Cortisol maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. So here we are going to study now what kind of functions are done by the cortisol hormones. So maintain the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions, produces anti-inflammatory reactions and suppress the immune response. Yes. So it can help the cardiovascular system, it helps to maintain the kidney functions, it can bring about the anti-inflammatory reactions, it suppresses the immune responses whenever needed. Also it stimulates the RBC production, red blood cell production. Aldosterone, a kind of cortisol which especially helps to maintain the minerals and ions of the body. So act mainly at renal tubule of the kidney and stimulate the reabsorption of Na plus and water and excretion of K plus. Yes. So sodium ions, potassium ions are reabsorbed from the renal tubule of the nephron in the kidney, and the concentration of the sodium ions and potassium ions along with the phosphate is maintained, and these ions are important for maintaining or generating the action potential and resting potential in the cell, in the neuron and in other cells. So these ions are very important in the body for proper functioning of the cell. And maintenance of electrolyte is done by the aldosterone. Body fluid volume, osmotic pressure and blood pressure is all again done by the cortisol. So body fluids are maintained. So the amount of body fluid, normal amount of body fluid is maintained by the cortisol. Osmotic pressure is maintained, blood pressure is maintained by the cortisol. So these are the diverse and many functions of the cortisol. And the last point is the small amount of androgenic steroids, means it is also a kind of hormone. Androgenic steroids are also secreted by adrenal cortex, which play a role in the growth of axillary hair. Axillary hair means on hairs on the body. Pubic hairs, the hairs. Pubic hair means the hairs at the reproductive area, and the facial hair during puberty. So facial hairs, in the sense in male, beard and mustache grows during puberty. So small amount of androgenic steroids are also secreted by the adrenal cortex. So this is also the considerable point, the hormone produced by the adrenal cortex, androgenic steroids. Thank you. So whatever doubts you have, you can ask on the WhatsApp group.